British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's campaign to leave the European Union, deal or no deal, hit a roadblock today. The Supreme Court of the United Kingdom ruled that his decision to recess Parliament was illegal and that lawmakers can return to work immediately. In a moment, John Yang will explore what's at stake. But first, Ciaran Jenkins with Independent Television News has all the details from another chaotic day.
For UK democracy, a defining day. For the Prime Minister, devastating. Boris Johnson's reasons for suspending Parliament, the reasons he gave the Queen, torn to shreds by the country's 11 most senior judges, unanimously.
The decision to advise Her Majesty to prorogue Parliament was unlawful.
We were witnessing, said the Supreme Court President, a one-off, history forged as the Prime Minister's 5-week suspension of Parliament was overturned.
Parliament has not been prorogued. This is the unanimous judgment of all 11 justices.
The consequences, enormous and immediate. Boris Johnson's political opponents, through the courts, will have him hauled back before Parliament.
So there is nothing to stop us, members of Parliament such as myself and my colleagues, from resuming immediately the important job of scrutinising this minority Tory government as we hurtle towards Brexit.
And so Parliament is soon to be unlocked.
I am ready for work. I shall be in my chair tomorrow and I look forward to Parliament sitting and we will go about our business. That's our responsibility and I'll do my bit. It's only a part of the story. A lot of other people will, I'm sure, do their bit.
Do you expect the
and
Prime
that's
Minister
what the public would expect.
Do you expect the Prime Minister to be sitting there as well?
I've no idea who will and won't be there, but I will be there.
Prime Minister, are you going to resign?
He is staying as Prime Minister, but rushing back ahead of schedule tonight from the UN General Assembly.
I strongly disagree with this judgment, and we in the UK will not be deterred from getting on and delivering on the will of the people to come out of the EU on October the 31st.
The final monumental word, though, is the Supreme Court's. Its ruling on these two legal challenges begin to set the UK Constitution in stone.
Today's ruling confirms that we are a nation governed by the rule of law. Laws that everyone, even the Prime Minister, is not above.
And so Boris Johnson is forced back tomorrow to Westminster and a deluge of scrutiny.
Stormy days for British politics. So where does all this leave Boris Johnson and where does it leave Brexit? Charles Kupchan is a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations and a professor at Georgetown University. During the Obama administration, he was the senior director for European affairs. Mr. Kupchan, thanks for being here.
Sure.
Where does this leave Brexit? The deadline is 5 weeks away. What is the practical effect of this ruling today?
Well, it's a political bombshell of sorts in that there isn't a written constitution in the UK. No one knew how the Supreme Court was going to act. They didn't mince their words. They said Boris Johnson is standing in the way of the constitutional functions of Parliament, that it's unlawful, that it's void, and Parliament was supposed to be suspended for several more weeks. It's meeting tomorrow. It hems Boris Johnson in even more, but there was already legislation passed by Parliament before he suspended it that said a no-deal Brexit cannot happen. So right now, he doesn't have a lot of good options. On October 17, 18, there is a meeting of the heads of state of the EU. He will go. He will make one last pitch to get a deal. He probably is not going to get it, and at least according to Parliament, he then has to say, I need an extension.
He has to ask the EU for an extension.
Yes.
What are the chances that the EU will give him that?
I would say that a high likelihood, because if they didn't give Boris Johnson an extension, then Brexit would be on the EU's watch. So he'll get it. I think the key question is, will he ask for it? He has made his claim to fame on, we are getting out on October 31, no matter what. Is he going to ask for that extension? Is he going to defy Parliament? He may end up in jail if he did that because he would be breaking the law.
Prime Minister Johnson has been in office for about 2 months now. He's lost a series of major votes in Parliament. He's lost his working majority in Parliament. He's losing members of his Conservative Party. What did today do to his standing? Can he remain as Prime Minister?
I think he'll probably stay at least for a few more weeks to get to that conversation with the EU to see if he can't get a deal. I'm guessing that he will stay and not resign, in part because what he really would like is an election. But he wants an election before October 31, because after that, if he's asked for an extension, the Brexit people may have lost confidence in him. The opposition wants an election to come after October 31, precisely because Boris Johnson will be weaker. Right now, it's anybody's guess how this plays out in the next few weeks, but at least for now, it looks like Brexit won't happen on October 31 because the Parliament has forbid it. The Parliament is now backed by the Supreme Court.
So taking a bigger picture, or pulling back a little bit, what's the effect of all this chaos in Britain on the world, on the United States?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Britain is going to be tied up in knots for years, because whether Brexit happens or whether it doesn't happen, they will be trying to sort this out, their relationship with the EU, their relationship with the United States. Britain is effectively missing in action. It's closed for business. That is a problem for a country that has been a closest partner of the United States. We, as this newscast has been saying, are also tied up in knots politically. So it's interesting that at this moment, the two Anglo-Saxon countries most responsible for building modernity as we know it, the globalized world, are in deep political trouble.
Charles Kupchan, thank you very much.